Welcome to my third video on the Boyd's Blue Alpine Freeze Dryer channel. I'm going to be running the first batch on my freeze dryer today, and since they sent me a bag of Skittles, I'm going to run that first and see how that works out. I also threw in a couple of mini Starbursts. I'm going to see how long it takes for those to run, if they run the same as the Skittles or if you add a little bit more dry time. And then I'm also added a couple of filled Twizzlers. So we'll see how those work. I just had chop up a half of a Twizzler, and I'm going to throw that in there too to see how it. I might have to add more dry time to the Twizzler to get that freeze dry properly, but if it freeze dries the same as the Skittles and the Starburst, that'll be really happy. So I'm going to run it on just their basic recipe, which is, instead of the basic freeze dry, which is about a 12-hour cycle, their candy recipe only runs 1 or 2 hours. I think it's set for just over 2 hours. So I'm going to try to run that and see if it'll freeze dry Skittles in 2 hours. And I guess technically they've got the settings up high enough that it's actually more vacuum drying than freeze drying with this candy. But I don't even think it uses a freeze cycle. It just kind of heats the candy up and then it vacuum dries it out. So technically it probably isn't freeze drying the way they're doing it, but it tastes just like the freeze dried candy I've eaten before. So we'll find out how it works and how long it takes. So here is my Skittles tray, which took a full bag of Skittles. I think this is we have a 15, almost 16 ounce bag of Skittles. I just dumped that on this tray. And remember, this is a large freeze dryer, so those are the 13 by 18 tray. And then over here I've got about a handful of the Skittles. I threw in a couple of the filled Twizzlers, and I just threw in 5 gummy bears. I don't think they're going to freeze dry in the 2-hour time frame they've got for these other ones, but I think they'll be pretty moist. I'll probably have to add some more time, or actually run those in a regular freeze dry cycle to get the gummy bears to work. But I'm just running this cycle to see how it works out. So what do we need to do? We need to put these in the dryer. So I'm going to set these, just kind of stick that in the freeze dryer. I'm going to stick this on the second tray. There's one Skittle in there, so I haven't got in there. I'm going to stick this one on the second from the top one. So I could fit 5 if I want to do a whole bunch, but while I'm working out how this works, I'm just going to run, small batches until I figure out how much time it works. Now, the way this works, I'm going to set recipes. So I select recipes, and these got 6 basic recipes. I pick candy, and with the candy, I'm going to, it says freeze time is 0 minutes and dry time is 2 hours, with a pre-warm setting at 145 and the mTOR at 3000. And that's where I say it's probably not really freeze drying. Most freeze drying, you have to have it under about a 600 to 1000 mTOR. When you set the mTOR up that high, it pulls out a lot of water really quick, which will add a lot of water to the pump, but it also makes it speed up the process significantly. So let's see how this works. So hit continue and ensure that the door is shut, which it is shut. Yep, it is shut tight, and make sure that the drain valve is closed. So there's a drain valve, it's closed, and then I'll hit continue. Pre-warm the candy for 15 minutes. What that will do for the harder candies, it basically softens the sugars up and cause them to expand a little higher. And then you can set your temperature on this. I'm going to set the temperature to about 145 instead of 150, even though they suggest 150. We go to 145 on this, and then because the Starburst probably need a little bit smaller tank. So now it's warming on the candy is warming up, so it's kind of kicked on a little bit, and so while it's warming the candy, and then it will eventually start the drying cycle. So if I wanted to skip the warming cycle, I could skip that and go straight to the drying cycle, which would save me about 15 minutes on the cycle. Otherwise, this will just warm it up, and hopefully it'll make the candies a little bit larger when they come out. So I now have my Skittles and a couple of Starbursts and Twizzlers and a few gummy bears in the freeze dryer. I'll come back in a couple hours and check it out, find out how much time it took to freeze dry this, and finish up this cycle of candy. I'll post those updates with this video later on. So after looking at the Skittles definitely puffed up, they're dry, they work really well. The licorice, the Twizzlers with the filled licorice, the filling definitely dried out, but they're still soft, moist, still full of moisture in the licorice itself, so that didn't work with the setting. These puffed up, super sugary, super light. It actually overdid it. I think that needs to be done with a different setting. And I definitely like these because they didn't break open all the way. but they, trying to explain it, they're definitely like a hard candy now, but once you bite on it, it just melts in your mouth like sugar. So it's a very, very good flavor of Starburst, but instead of being soft and chewy, it's like a hard crunch. So you can probably suck on that and really enjoy it. So anyway, that's what it turned out. So it turned out really nice for the Skittles and maybe the mini Starburst bites, gummy bears, and licorice, filled licorice. I'll try a different recipe and see how that works out. Thank you for watching my first batch of candy using my Blue Alpine freeze dryer. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.